The crisp night air wafted across the farmlands, a strange chill signaling the start of the pre-winter season. Here I was, on the buggy on the farm in the dead of night. I was told to skip my usual duties for the day and get sleep, as my human companion told me we were going to be pulling an all-nighter. This meant we would be earning some unpaid overtime. I reluctantly agreed. It was strangely calming out here on the pastures as we drove on. I was looking at the scariats grazing calmly in the fields of this planet, odd-looking jellyfish-like creatures that floated above the ground and grazed on the clumps of mushrooms that grew like weeds among the blue grass. Peculiar beasts, to be certain, aggressive and territorial, they require a special talent to farm and raise them. Their meat fetches consistently high prices on the galactic market, and their bile and blood is used in a litany of incredible medicinal treatments. Consequently, they are a high-grade commodity, but very few people can actually properly farm them. Enter my home and place of business, Rajkar Farm and Ranch, where we have spent 10 generations mastering them. I know every last one of these beasts by name, shell, and spindly, hairy tentacle. The roar of our car's engine echoed through the night. The scariats were used to the sound of these odd monstrosities, especially this one, a so-called June buggy we got for dirt cheap from a human merchant. Perfect for use in this terrain, as it turned out, and the herd didn't really care about it. They seemed almost fascinated by it, to be honest. The car trundled along to the north pasture with some of the new pups that were born from the herd. One of the older scariats seemed to be very interested in us all of a sudden and started to chase us down as we drove along the road. These creatures are deceptively quick. If they want something, they will chase it down. This one was clawing at the ground with its tentacles, grazing the ground as it charged at us. He seems to have a beef with the buggy, I guess. Timmy, my human companion, remarked as we drove. What's a beef? Nah, he's just curious. He is likely just patrolling his territory, I replied, as I heard the patter of his frantic tentacled form behind us above the engine. Probably just going to give us a sniff and then go back to the herd. Anyway, we are camping out at Northside. Picked a beautiful night for it. Been waiting for clear weather, he said. Is this just for a camping trip or something, or are we actually attempting to accomplish something? I asked. Nope. Dumb shits from the Cathandi League had a failed biohazard screening from one of their shipments. They're sending in a full team to clean up the mess they made, but in the meantime, we are here on pest control duty, he said. Stupid Cathandi. Can't trust them with anything. Well, actually, that's wrong. You can trust them with a lot of things. They always fix their mistakes. Just like humans, I replied, giving him a smirk. Well, it will be a few weeks before the containment team arrives, and they'll make short work of it. Unfortunately, we are on duty until then. Farmer Skaulakwil lost a scariat breeding pool last week. Right at peak season, no less, he said, as we turned into a tree line on a hill. Oh, that explains why we let him borrow Big Lolono. Damn. Now it all makes sense. Well, what are we hunting exactly? I asked. Guntracks and packbiters. The guntracks are a gift from the Cathandi, and the packbiters are the local natives, he replied, as we stopped the car and got out. Ah, so what's the plan? Setting snares and stuff? I got out and helped him haul out an ominous box that had been sitting on the back seat. Nope, we are going to get in some target practice, he said, and opened the box. It was a rifle carrier. Inside, 2 rifles. One I recognized, one I did not. I recognized a pulse rifle that had been heavily modified with some kind of strange bolt mechanism and some ammunition cells I had never seen before. The other one was a kinetic rifle of some kind, similar to one I had seen in the videos of human militia units back in the day. What is this? We are going to put traps and stuff down, of course. It will catch the stragglers, but from what I can tell, there are too many of them for the trap method to work. So we're going to thin the herd, then put traps down to catch the ones that we can't shoot. So here is my Lulabelle, a honey badger chambered in a 300 blackout, and, borrowed from the rancher, a Nomadian pulse rifle for you. Got them fitted with heavy suppressors so we don't scare the herd, but it's still going to be a bit loud. A groaning, squelching noise appeared behind us as a bull I recognized, Big Buzzwell, approached and started to use one of his big tentacled appendages to sniff us. Hello there, big boy. Smell something interesting? Timmy remarked casually as he picked up his fancy-looking gun. I casually brushed a tentacle out of my face and took the pulse rifle out. I almost didn't recognize it, as it had been so heavily modified it looked like a brand new gun. Interesting weapon. It's a polywam pattern pulse rifle, but it looks very different. It's a military weapon. Is it even legal to have this? Boss got it from his time in the fleet, and he got to keep it if he made it more friendly, I think was the phrase he used. He took an old human-built Springfield '03 rifle we had and sort of combined the two. Quite ingenious, Timmy said as he checked his gun. I took a closer look at it. The gun looked similar to an old human-made Springfield, but with a pulse laser mechanism instead of a kinetic shell. The entire firing chamber had been replaced with a bolt-action feed of some kind, loading it with small capacity cells. It looked more like a toy gun that you would give a child at a laser tag event or whatever that was. But the power cells were definitely real. I recognized them. Same you would load into any kind of energy weapon, this time with individual charges rather than a closed-off magazine. Boss specifically mentioned to use this gun because you don't need a license to really use or own it, because it's classed as a hunting weapon. I have a professional license to use this thing even though it's classed as military, so yeah. Since we are hunting pests, we are both okay to do this with these guns. It should be easy, Timmy said, readying his gun. Okay then. Do humans do this kind of thing often? I asked. Oh yeah. Back home we have rabbits that would eat produce, coyotes that would kill the younger herd animals like lambs, boars, and hogs that would gawk cattle. Even rat hunting, because the rats would bother the chickens. There are professionals who make a good living doing this kind of pest control. They use traps and snares and whatnot too, of course, but this way is easier to thin the numbers quickly and efficiently. This makes it more likely for the snares and traps to actually work as intended. Beasts can't just swarm their way out of it, Timmy replied. Oh, okay. Okay, now it makes sense, I said. A loud gruff noise and the sound of a deflating balloon signalled Big Buzzwell was satisfied we were not a rival bull or a reasonable threat, and was now gently floating back to his herd. Seems he's bored. Come on, trek up the hill. I made the executive decision to put up a deer stand on one of the trees yesterday. We'll be hanging out there. You can see in the dark, right? He asked. Of course, I replied, following him up the trail into the trees. Well, good. But just in case I got a good scope and some MVGs, I wasn't sure. Better prepared, as they say, he said. Oh, fair enough. So what exactly is the plan of action? I asked. We reached one of the trees, a sturdy, thick-trunked, tall, imposing bit of nature, similar to the earth oak, mounted to which was a rope ladder. I looked up, and there were two separate platforms nailed into the tree, one halfway up, one about 10 feet higher than that. Timmy started climbing. I followed him. The plan is to cull the numbers. I'll check the chicken coops. If there's no action, I'll help you cover the pastures. We have to make this as good as possible, so kill shots only, he said, as he reached the upper platform. I see. Why kill shots only, though? I asked, settling into the lower platform. 2 reasons. First being that it's ethical and humane that, despite their existence as pets, there is no need for them to suffer. Quick, easy kills. No hurt, just dead. Second, if they do scream and whine, they will alert either the herd or their other friends, and it will make setting traps just that harder. Not to mention we might spook the herd, especially the pups. Ah, that's good thinking, actually. If I recall correctly, the way to kill a gunshot instantly is to aim slightly below the largest thorn on the back of the neck, maybe an inch or so under that. That's the brainstem, I think. Direct brain hit would do, but brainstem works if you can't hit the head. Packbiters, I think, are direct hits to the heart. They're relatively big, so I think they would hit easily. Might want to hit them side on, though. Their frontal breastbone is quite tough, I remarked as I settled in. Huh. Thought it was the other way around. That would have been messy. Glad I brought you with me. You mean you had second thoughts? I asked. Well, you've been working hard. I thought I could do a night hunt and handle it alone so you guys could rest up. But I went out and found too many trails and paw marks. I figured it would be better to do it properly, Timmy replied. And I heard the gun ready for the first time. It was a hefty, menacing click-click of metal. It sent a shiver down my spine. I readied my own rifle. One charge cell would last for 6 shots before I would need to replace it. I didn't expect to need that much ammunition. I loaded the charge and the subtle, telltale noise of an electrical charge building up sounded. Well, Here goes something. How long do you think we will be out here, by the way? I don't know, probably until sunrise. Might not even have any action at all. I don't see anything at the hen house, so... He trailed off. A quiet but heavy thump sounded above me, followed by the tree shuddering ever so slightly. The sound of a spent shell casing pinging over wood. He found something. You stand corrected, I said. I looked down at my own scope. Ollie! Ollie! He said. Then a second later fired another shot. What? Aren't we supposed to be incognito here? I asked. A trick with some animals. If you find a good spot, you can effectively make them confused and look up to redirect their attention to a noise. If you had a clicker or beeper or something, you can trick them into raising their head to look at you, giving you a clear shot, he said, firing another round. I shook my head, not believing such a trick could ever work. By the time I spotted my first target, he had emptied his first mag. There really were a lot of them out there. I looked into the scope and onto the sight of a packbiter, the non-Earth equivalent to a large wild dog known as a coyote. Yes, I do in fact do my homework. Reading is a passion, and I often look around for interesting things in my downtime. I followed my training and aimed at its brainstem, just 1 inch below the largest of its neck spines. I squeezed the trigger, just as training had told us to, and the muffled noise of an energy blast quietly thudded through the air. Before the beast could even hear the noise, he was dead, the energy particle putting a clean hole through his neck. I pulled the bolt back, letting the heat sink breathe, a soft hiss of steam and hum of energy release coming from it. I put the bolt forward and scanned for my next target. Good shot? Timmy asked above me. Didn't even hear the noise before he hit the floor. Heh, I love energy weapons, I said. Be careful with that thing. Reduce range but increase punch. You won't be able to hit too hard beyond 200 yards, he remarked, as he fired another round. What's the range on that thing? Effective range, I asked. Up to 800 yards without the suppressor, but down to about a max of 300 with it, he replied calmly. With a gun trap, though, this thing's a guaranteed kill up to 100 yards, which is how far I am from the coop right now. I could no longer resist looking and turned towards the chicken coop. I looked for my scope and counted no fewer than 40 gun-track corpses, vicious rodent-like beasts the size of the chickens they preyed on. I moved my rifle and readied up, only for the creature I just spotted to get hit so hard with a bullet, it flew out of the tree it was in. Timmy was very good at this job. His reflexes were superb. I watched, amazed, as he took down 2 consecutive pests, one of which ran away after its companion's head was blown off. It was almost as if he could sense what they were doing, or what they were running towards to retreat. How are you doing that? Do you have foresight or something? No, I just understand behavioral patterns. They have a nest somewhere, and they run to it when they're scared or shocked. They move fast, yeah, but not fast enough for me. Cold and BF keep my reflexes sharp, so this is easy, he replied calmly, as he took down 2 more. I nodded silently and resumed my own work. I saw a sight that filled me with anger and dread. A packbiter was sizing up a scariat pup. I had to hit it hard and fast. I readied my rifle and took aim. I hesitated or aimed for too long before I could get a good shot. I fired, and the energy bolt blasted through the pest's front legs. It let out a squeal. The squeal alerted the scariats and also Timmy. The squeal didn't last long, and I pulled the bolt back to sink heat. Timmy snapped to the side, and 1 bullet later, the squeal stopped. That was incredibly fast. The reflex time was incredible. I had never seen a response that fast, even during my days in law enforcement. Thank you. Sorry about that. I couldn't get a clean shot. It's okay, man. No shooting for a minute or 2. Let the herd calm down. Don't think that squirrel alerted any of his kin, but be safe and cycle. The work of the coop is thinning out. Might be able to start hunting for the nest soon, he replied, all too calmly. Really? How many is that now? 50? I asked. 53. I see 2 more, plus 3 I keep seeing in the background behind the coop I can't hit from here. The next must be in that cove of trees behind henhouse number 4. See it? He asked. I looked out and scoped in, checking. Just as I did, I saw the telltale sign of dirt flying about, followed by the head of a rodent popping up out of the ground. Oh, yes, I seen the nest. There. Behind that small grassy hill, I see dirt being kicked up, I said. Jackpot. I'm going to keep thinning them out, then hit the nest with a gas frag. Should finish the job, he said calmly. If we can clear that nest out, that's half the job done. I'll help with the last few. Looks like the pack biters are a bit scarce right now. Sounds good, he replied calmly. Truth be told, I was morbidly curious more about Timmy's shooting than anything else. Ollie! Ollie! He said. Then a gunrat, clearly having heard that vocalization, popped his head up from behind the coup. Milliseconds later, his tiny head disappeared. I could see a spatter of his blue blood scatter around the area. Bloody hell! That was a messy one, Timmy said excitedly. Indeed. How did you know that? Wait, you already explained how. I thought that would never work, I exclaimed, maybe a bit too loudly. Well, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I learned this trick watching some old YouTube vids of this crazy Australian dude who would use that trick against dingoes and rats. He did this job professionally. Granted, I'm using a military-grade weapon. He was using modified civilian weapons and air rifles, so this is nothing compared to him, Timmy said, as if that made his own skill seem lesser. I swerved back to the pasture and spotted a packbiter at the fence line. This one was an easy kill. Straight to the side, one hit, right between the shoulder blades, down and out before he knew what hit him. Not this time, you little pest. I looked about for a bit more, and found a new target. It was digging or something, and I couldn't get a clear shot. I decided to try it to see if it worked. Ollie! Ollie! I yelled. Just enough for it to carry a bit. To my surprise, the pest raised its head and hopped out of the hole it was digging. I responded fast, and seconds later there was a hole in its spine. Nice, Timmy remarked casually. I chuckled in response and reloaded my gun, discharging a spent heating coil and ejecting the first charge of the night. You know, despite the circumstances, it's nice out. It is indeed a pretty evening. Perfect weather for night hunting. Perfect weather for camping, really. Looks like the nest is thinned out. I'm going to head down and clear the nest. You can take my gun if you need something with more rapid fire. I'll be back, he said, as he started climbing down. I stayed up for a bit longer and put down 2 more pests before looking over at Timmy. I caught the moment he tossed a strange cylindrical object down a hole and stood at attention with a heavy cane machete, likely to finish off the stragglers. And indeed, I heard the telltale clang of metal hitting bone. The kills were clean, no pain. He hit them hard before they could react and put them down fast. Just like he said. Ethically. I saw a herd of packbiters moving in, 10 of them in short order. I didn't have the rifle for this, so I took Timmy's offer up and climbed up to grab his gun. His perch was peculiar, built for a human, not a Tamarzian, but I got the idea. The rifle he had was significantly more bulky, heavier, and more precisely structured, but still relatively easy to use. I got the hang of it relatively fast and started to aim. The sight through his scope confused the absolute hell out of me. I had to adjust my eye lenses to make sense of it all. The images weren't really matching my brain too well and physically confused me. We Tamarzian have several secondary lenses in our eyes, and opening or closing these lenses helps us deal with the harsh conditions of our home planet, and deal with light conditions. We were considered apex predators based on our adaptability before humans showed up. I had to open all 3 of my secondary lenses and see into the scope with my naked eye to understand what was going on. And by all that is unholy, the sight made me both scared and excited. Thermal vision. The humans had technology that was available to civilians that allowed thermal imaging systems. The only species that had that attribute naturally were the Scifi, and they couldn't replicate it. Humans did this and let it be used by common men? That was a revelation, to say the least. I had no real time to consider the implications of what else they had to offer. I spotted the herd again. I found out pretty quickly I had nowhere near the reflexes and speed that Timmy had. I was only able to put down 3 before the 4th took a bad hit and squealed for the rest of the pack. Thankfully they didn't spook the herd, but one of the larger bulls noticed and became defensive, taking one of the pests out with one of its bony, toxin-laced tentacles. This made the rest of the pack thankfully scatter so I could reorient. Decent shooting. They will be back though, it's just a matter of time, I heard Timmy say from above me. He came back fast and climbed up there without me hearing him. Maybe I was just too focused and didn't notice, but he was abnormally quiet. I shook a bit at the implication he was so quiet, but knew with this gun I was too far above my head. I gave his gun back and retrieved my own. "Thank you. I did my best, but I apparently can't hit as fast as you. The recoil on that thing is a bit much." "It takes some getting used to," he said, and got comfortable. We both spotted a new herd, this one a bit far off, but still in range for a clean kill. I wasted no time and put an energy bolt through the one in the far back. I watched, still in awe, as Timmy, with absurd speed, put down 3 of them in succession with 1 shot each. Perfect shots. He moved absurdly fast and with the kind of control I thought was impossible, even for the Royal Guard. That wasn't the same pack, but it looks like we aren't getting more of them for the rest of the night. I can't see more through thermals. Looks like we're clear for a break. I got some food for us to eat while we wait for the place to calm down," he said calmly. We both headed down the ladder and toward the buggy. I was feeling pretty stiff from lying up there for the last 3 hours. 3 hours? I checked my chronometer, and indeed, it had been 3 hours in. It was now around 1 in the morning. As I approached the buggy, my body began to yell at me in a rather angry fashion for being so tense for so long. At least working the fields, I could occasionally just stand around for a bit and relax. It had been far too long since I was this active, and I felt shame as I limped towards the buggy. "You okay, man?" Timmy asked, as he lifted the trunk lid and hauled out a red cooler box. "Been too long since I've been in the force and my muscles are angry at me. How the hell are you not limping either?" I asked. "I feel nothing. I'm used to being in the same place for hours or even days on end. Comes with an office job, working on a farm as a combine driver. I'm used to it. We are, after all, pursuit predators, according to classification. We have this habit of never giving up when we want something. It's not just me, it's a human thing. I can handle the rest of the shift if you need. Got another 6 hours before sunrise." "That is okay, I shall bear it. Maybe this is a sign I need to get back into physical fitness standards again," I replied, leaning against the buggy. Timmy opened the cooler, and the magnificent smell of his bolognese sloppy joes immediately hit me like a ton of bricks. I suddenly became very, very hungry as he handed me a hot dog bun with leftover bolognese covered in still melting cheese. I had no self-control. I ignored the muscular pain and began scarfing the delicious treat down. "You like it, huh?" he asked between mouthfuls. "Are you joking? Your food is always a highlight of the week. Never knew leftovers could taste so good," I gabbled between munching delicious chunks of food. "Cool. You good to keep going for the night? We're going to be sitting around for the next few hours. Are you sure you're okay?" he asked. "No, but I shall endure. Perhaps I can retrieve a pillow or something and lean on it. I shall act as a spotter for you as the gun-trap nest is dealt with. We don't have to fight on 2 fronts. After sunrise, we can set the traps." I tried desperately to collect the precious droplets of sauce. "Good idea. I need to order more parsley and herbs from the next delivery. Ran out last time. Come on, let me do something quick," Timmy said. He moved to the side and used a few levers and clicked something. The buggy's rear seat popped out of its housing. He fiddled with it a bit and flattened it, using the straps to carry it. "There, something for you to sit on. Add here tripod and mono, with thermals. Should be easy for you to spot and stay comfy up there." "Can the tree platforms you built handle it?" I asked. "I am not questioning your craftsmanship, but rather the materials." "Yeah, it's good. Tested it yesterday by hauling a water jug up the tree. That's easily 180 pounds, me included. It will hold nicely. Come on, let's go back to it," he said, and carried the chair up the tree. The damn endurance in this creature was staggering. I knew Timmy could carry on where most of us couldn't. I now understood why he was paid more than the rest of us were. I carried the tripod, and Timmy, casually, as if his labours were as easy as breathing, set up the seat and climbed up to his post. I sat comfortably, dangling my 4 feet off the edge with the tripod set up so I could move it easily while not needing to hold it up for hours at a time. I was astonished at the efficiency, strength, and patience with which he operated. I wondered if all humans were like this. Timmy and I were on pest control duty for the rest of the week, and were even hired by another farmer later in the month to help him. It became a decent side job we could earn some goodwill and credits from doing. Apparently, using guns to kill pests was a common occurrence on human planets. Maybe I will need to send this log to the big bosses. Might be interesting to know what they think.